Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the South, or specifically Memphis, Tennessee. And even more specifically than that, I am in front of the Pink Palace. Now this is a mansion. It was originally created by the founder of the Piggly Wiggly grocery store chain, Clarence Saunders. Unfortunately, while the mansion was being built, the Great Depression hit, and he was forced to sell the mansion to the city of Memphis as he lost his money in the stock market. And the city of Memphis converted it into a grand museum, which we are about to enter. So please, follow me. They also have a planetarium here. I do like this mural because in this mural, Canada has just been replaced by the Pink Palace Museum. So the first floor of the Pink Palace is a natural history museum. Here is a cell. You can see all the gross things floating inside of the cell. Somewhere my high school science teacher is weeping because I don't remember the names of any of them. There's an armadillo that has been stripped of his armor. I guess he's also been stripped of all his skin, muscles, and guts as well. There's a little squirrel skeleton. You can see he's been eating his nuts down there. There is a beaver skull right next to a piece of wood that has been beaver gnawed. And then that right there is a giant beaver tooth, a prehistoric beaver. You can just imagine what sort of wood those beavers could rip through. Always fascinates me to see giraffe skeletons because they have the same number of vertebrae in their neck that we do. They're just, you know, way bigger. There is a house cat skeleton. This terrifying rattlesnake does not have his skin and muscles, but does still have his rattle. Also check out this fish skeleton right here. Horn right here does not belong to a unicorn, even though there is a picture of a unicorn next to it. It's actually a narwhal tooth. Here's a super spooky human skeleton. And here it compares it with various types of monkeys. Some primitive human bones here. This is the boy from Narokatami. Here are my people, the Neanderthals. And that's true, I do have a significant amount of Neanderthal DNA, according to 23andMe. And it shows the difference between a Neanderthal and a regular human. Of course, I am of the belief that the Neanderthal and the human are indeed the same species. Otherwise, it would be impossible for me to have Neanderthal DNA because, you know, species can't just mate and make other species. You know, we don't see dogs and cats having babies. So, you know, they're different. Neanderthals are a different type of person, but clearly the same species. Wow, check that out. It's a very angry dinosaur. Oh, look at this poor Triceratops. Someone glopped a bunch of red glop on his head. I wonder if the T-Rex over there just like spit a bunch of blood on his head. How rude. Here is a fossil slab from Tupelo, Mississippi. You see all the incredible different fossils in there. If you look really closely, you can see different things. Yeah, there's shark tooth. Yeah, there's a lot of shark's teeth in there. There's a sawfish spine. Oh, a duckbill dinosaur tooth. This is really, really cool. It's a crocodile bony plate. Have this underwater scene here. Look at this turtle just about to chomp down on that poor little fish's head. We're gonna check out some mammals of the Mid-South. It looks like the armadillo has gotten his skin and armor back on. Quite a display of southern animals here. Got a deer hanging out with a wild boar. Got a black bear over there. Got a raccoon doing some sort of crazy raccoon dance. There's a feral cat right there. Look how mean he is, killing all the local birds. There's a buffalo. Some adorable little skunks down there. The ultimate showdown. Elk versus coyote. Chaos reigns. Here's some rats in their natural habitat, which is behind a garbage can. You can see the rats enjoying a nice dinner of spoiled spaghetti sauce. It's pretty gross. They actually have like flies eating the spaghetti sauce too. What a life. Wild rats lead. Here's the majestic groundhog. We have a squirrel and a chipmunk hanging out together on a fence. This museum, the Pink Pal's really big on armadillos here. I was getting worried here. I wasn't seeing my favorite animal, but they do indeed have a possum. And here's an interesting possum fact. A newborn possum, same size as a honeybee. Are you ready for a walk through time? Oh, it's the history of rocks. It's a prehistoric underwater scene. Love the giant, terrifying sea scorpion, but a lot of people are glad those aren't around anymore. Here we have the dreaded Eryops, Dilophosaurus, and I'm so happy that he doesn't have the phony Jurassic Park frill on him. You know, if I saw that in a museum, that would be really disheartening. They got some little mini dinosaurs. There's a Stegosaurus. And here is, it says Apatosaurus, but if you look really close, in parentheses, they put Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus. Yes, folks. For those of you who want to tell me that Brontosauruses weren't real, there we have it. Museum says it, I believe it. Brontosaurus confirmed. Here's a prehistoric horse, and he is about the size of a medium-sized dog. This model of a house was made by this man here, Simon Jackson. He's an artist that constructed this by hand when he was only 21 years old. It's actually very impressive and quite a bit of detail. This is entitled The Gambler's Lady, and it's kind of showing off her clothing. She's wearing cotton clothing, which apparently was denounced by the British for making women look overly sensual. And it even points out here that she has cotton stockings, which were controversial because you were not supposed to be able to see a woman's ankle. This is the sewing room scene here. You see the woman working an old-timey sewing machine. And over here we have a wonderful quilt. Oh, wow. Oh. Now, at first glance, I did think this was a mummy, but this is a burial casket. This is the kind that would actually have a window where you could open up and look at the deceased face, but they would be encased completely in this casket. And it says over here that this was an actual casket that was buried in the ground in the 1800s and was accidentally dug up by construction workers so that they reburied the body, but for some reason they decided to put the casket in a museum. So there's some Confederate soldiers with a captured cannon, and look at their faces. These are some Confederate soldiers that are not playing around. Some various Civil War guns. You can actually feel the different types of cannonballs they'd use. It's a canister shot, a grape shot, it's a larger canister shot, 6-pound shot. Yeah, these are 8-inch mortar, and this is a 10-inch mortar. Can you imagine getting hit in the face with that? You can look at these stumps here. You can see they actually have Civil War cannonballs embedded, where the tree would have been hit with a cannonball, and then the tree would have grown around the cannonball. Here are some different gadgets and gizmos. Now you look at this right here, it looks like maybe, you know, a jar you put some perfume in, or maybe some wine. But no. This is actually a fire grenade. Basically a Civil War era Molotov cocktail. This right here is dehorning shears. So that is essentially a toenail clipper for a bull, so you can chop off his horns. So you have to guess what this gizmo does. It's an egg, right? An egg? A glass egg? Oh, when you put a glass egg in a hen's nest, it'll encourage them to lay real eggs. Huh. It's so difficult to like get into the head of a chicken and fool them. Uh-oh. Yellow fever. That's no fun. It's a surgical instrument kit, which is basically just a box of knives to cut you and let your infected blood out. And these tubes, which go in horrible places.
The accumulation of bodies that Undertaker Jack Walsh couldn't bury. Some of the dead have been there for days.
It's an early 1900s music room. You can see back there a lot of taxidermied birds. Back when they would put taxidermy in frames. And I like how these figures, they have no facial features except this guy has got a mustache. No one else has any mouths or eyes, but this guy definitely needed a mustache. Also, there's a tiger rug on the floor. Some wonderful old-timey medicine, bleeding devices is all used to just cut people and let out their horrifying bad blood. But if you don't like that method, you can always pluck some leeches from your beautiful leech jug. It's a porcelain invalid spoon, you know, to help with purging and puking. You can see a scene here where this doctor is visiting this sick lady and placing leeches on her wrist to help suck out all that yucky, tainted blood. Here's some wonderful early dentistry. That is a turnkey for tooth removal. I don't even want to imagine. It basically just rips your tooth out. There's a plugger for filling teeth, a root elevator for tooth removal. Oh, that one's used for polishing fillings. Chisel for digging out decay. Oh my gosh, can you just imagine? Patent medicine, which is basically just code for you know, a bunch of fake medicine that made a bunch of outlandish claims. Raymond's pink pills. Who cares what they do? The important thing is that they're pink. So that says the Baby's Challenge. And this is the answer to Baby's Challenge. What are we looking at? These are from back in the days when just electrocuting you was a good cure for various ailments. Here's a phrenology book and a phrenology bust. This was the belief that you could determine someone's personality by the various lumps in their head, and you can see these ones are actually labeled. So I guess your individuality can be determined by the shape of the bridge of your nose. And right there, that is the mindfulness lump. And my favorite, Civil War surgery. You see this guy over there he's got an ether-soaked rag over this guy's foot, and this guy's looking at this. Oh yeah, look, he's just digging in. He's got his knife plunged into the leg there. I don't know. I mean, I hate that he's having to lose his leg, but that looked pretty infected from here. These guys in the tent here are waiting their turn. Ooh, I bet they're excited. Here's the history of nursing, saying that nuns often served as the first nurses. Here's the uniform of a student nurse, 1924. And this is Lena Angevin Warner, one of the nursing pioneers here in Memphis. Here is a Memphis doctor's office in the 1880s to 1900s. You know, no doctor's office is complete without a creepy human skeleton. We see this doctor here. He's got a syringe all ready to go to plunge into little Jimmy right here. Some 20th century neurosurgery. You can see a skull here. It's had shows how they use the skull saw. They would put holes in the skull and then use that to cut in between the holes to remove that chunk of skull so they can get to your brain. Some more dentistry here. See the dentist just go into town on this fellow's mouth. Just digging right in there. There's a pharmacist, although it kind of looks like a scene from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Here's a gas mask that makes you look like some sort of creepy owl monster. As I mentioned, this man, Clarence Saunders, meant for this mansion to be his house, but he lost it because of the stock market crash. But he is honored here because he did create the first Piggly Wiggly, and they have a replica of the first Piggly Wiggly store in this museum. Alright, so here we head into the original Piggly Wiggly. Alright, going through the wooden turnstile here. Here it kind of talks about the name Piggly Wiggly and where it came from. Apparently there's no solid answer. One explanation was that Saunders saw a pig stuck under a fence wiggling. They're saying it came from an old nursery rhyme, Higgly Piggly. And but all he ever said was that he just wanted a memorable name, and it said that it made it easy to find out impersonators. Apparently there was a knockoff version called Hoggly Woggly in St. Louis. It's the original Piggly Wiggly logo, and really it has not changed much over the years. They still use a very, very similar logo. I walk down the aisles, they have some vintage cans of what these brands would have looked like back in the day. Yeah, the can of spinach reminds me of the old Popeye cartoons. All these amazing old cans. Oh, look, there's the classic Campbell soup cans. They haven't changed their logo very much either. Here's the old cereal section. As you can see, cereal used to not be quite as glamorous as it is today. This says sterilized wheat bran. Sounds like a delicious name. Also, it's for constipation, so you definitely want to be reminded of pooping while you're eating your breakfast. You know, it truly is perplexing how grape nuts have really stuck around. Pillsbury's health brand almost looks like it hypnotizes you into believing that you might enjoy it. In modern times, they kind of try to whitewash the fact that Jell-O is made out of, cow hooves and other leftover parts of the cow. But not back then. Here is Knox's sparkling gelatin, and it just says calf's head. It's sparkling calf's head gelatin. Fish flakes. How come they don't sell bacon in jars anymore? Oh, look at that. My favorite. Vienna sausages. Here's some majestic roast beef. Looks very, very majestic. There's the original deviled ham. The devil that they chose to put on there, he looks really terrifying. It's very interesting to use Satan as your mascot. It's where you get your cleaning supplies, your brushes, your slightly racist soap, and make sure you get a big box of borax. Now, I vaguely remember this logo. Do they still have Argo cornstarch, where it is a half Native American, half corn cob person? Oh, and there's Aunt Jemima. Here's the refrigerated section. We have some majestic ham in there. Got our cheese down there. And there is our milk. Cap it all off with some fresh produce. And then we ring everything up right here. Here's the Cossitt Museum room. This was the first museum in Memphis that opened in 1897 and has been preserved here in this room. We have that old-time Victorian taxidermy. So all the various taxidermy birds, all the various little colorful species of birds in there. You can see some parrots in the back. Of course, museums always love various types of guns and knives. You can see this vicious bayonets right there, and the big pointy thing with the handle. Yeah, some pretty scary weapons up there. You can see the sword there made out of a sawtooth shark bill. Yeah, old-timey museums pretty much were just 98% taxidermied birds. Some Egyptian artifacts, including a mummified hawk and a tiny mummified baby crocodile. A whole big collection of various types of eggs from different birds. Again, the old museums loved birds. There is a framed fish right there. It's like a delicious bass of some sort. Here we have the original lobby of the museum. You can see it's quite ornate with those murals up there. More birds. Birds are birds. Birds, birds, birds. Birds are birds. Birds, birds. Bird. Here's another bird in a frame. We do have some other taxidermy here. We have this vicious bear right here and a vicious boar. Yes, and every museum worth its salt must have a shrunken head. Although my main complaint about this museum is not enough birds. See some masks up there. There's a cow and the devil himself. It says in the 1970s the museum began a program with the local zoo where they would salvage the dead animals. So a lot of the animals that we've seen in this museum originally came from the local zoo. There is a flamingo, which is technically a bird, but is also pink, which fits in with the name of the museum. Now, we're not going to visit the planetarium today, but this is the original star projector from their planetarium. It would show different constellations and star patterns and laser shows on the ceiling of the planetarium. And there's the original sign that told you to shut up. Walking up here to the second floor of the mansion. There's a giant polar bear. It says this was collected by Dr. Howard Misner from the ice of the Chukchi Sea. Here's all the gear that was used to kill that polar bear. We have the snowsuit, all the warm clothing, the rifle, and down to the bullet. Here we have a miniature circus constructed by a Clyde Park. You can see the menagerie here, different animals in little cages, the elephants, the giraffes. Here's where the guests can get their concessions. 5 cents for a drink, 10 cents for a hot dog. Oh, what a time to be alive. And of course, They have a little circus game here where you throw balls to knock down what appears to be Aunt Jemima figurines. I think this would be like the owner or manager of the circus's personal car right here. See him doing the books. My favorite part of the circus, the sideshow or freak show. Here we have the talker out front trying to draw people in. You can see that he has some sort of performers on stage with him there. They give away for free to help draw in customers. I'm going to take a little peek and see what's going on there. Oh, it looks like they have some sort of girly show going on. We have a knife thrower, someone throwing knives at a woman. It looks like we have a very tall man, a strong man, some very tiny people, a snake woman, and a sword swallower. You can see the clowns in their little break area getting ready for the show. You can see the parade going on outside of the circus. They actually have Peter Pumpkin Eater on the back of this cart. There's some monkeys. Then Little Red Riding Hood, I guess that like a fairy tale, nursery rhyme themed parade. And here we can take a look inside the tent and see all the circus acts going on. There seems to be quite a bit going on at once. Yeah, it is a 3-ring circus. You can see 3 different acts going on at the same time. And it pointed this out in the description. It's kind of interesting detail that to keep it accurate with the times, you can see all the audience members are white right here, and then over in this section they are all black or African American. So that would reflect the segregated nature of the circus back to a much less educated time in American history. Of course, these are all wooden figures. It shows the tools used to carve and create every individual little character. Here's some penny smashers if you want to get a souvenir penny of the Pink Palace Museum. Of course, if you'd like a Carpetbagger penny, you can check on my Etsy store in the description of this video. It's a rotating globe of the moon to go along with the rotating globe of the Earth. Of course, it doesn't appear that the moon really has much to it. It's all just kind of, you know, white rocks. But there is an actual piece of the moon right there. I appreciate you guys joining me here today at the Pink Palace in Memphis, Tennessee. If you'd like to see other museums I've been to, as well as roadside attractions, amusement parks, and other random fun places, check the interactive map in the description. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider subscribing to Patreon. A $3 or more donation a month will get you a postcard sent out monthly. Also sell t-shirts and now selling smashed pennies. All that information is in the description of this video. But until next time, this one's in the bag.